International Peace and Security Seminar Podcast. Peacekeeping rather than peace building. A failing strategy used by the UN to achieve international security is the proclivity to utilize peacekeeping rather than peace building. This form of preventive diplomacy often entails negative peace. This is where peace and conflict are rendered, nevertheless, the underlying causes of the warring are dismissed, therefore creating a frozen conflict. 12 states are currently experiencing UN-induced frozen conflicts. Some notable missions include Cyprus since 1964, the Western Sahara since 1991, and South Sudan since 2011. Strategies of negative peace include ceasefires, for example the Arusha Accords in Rwanda. Moreover, frozen conflict frequently engenders a protracted social ethnic conflict to mutate in something more perilous and internationally destabilizing. The lack of a definitive conclusion necessitates aggravation between both states as they continue to be separated and existing problems remain unresolved. The former approach to peace contrasts with a positive peace, where the long-standing grievances that led to an outbreak of violence is evaluated and resolved. Strategies of positive peace include power sharing between warring ethnic groups and a promotion of regionalism within borders. The main goal is to restore some form of sovereign authority and to promote civil society. This is vital as civil wars frequently drag in neighbouring states. Thus, an internal conflict can transmute into a multi-state involvement and lead to international strife and instability. The UN has achieved this once through the Dayton Accords in 1995, which achieved peace to an extent and ended the Bosnian War through power sharing between Croat, Bosniak, and Serb ethnic groups. However, the UN's propensity to keep peace rather than peace build has generated unending UN missions in Kashmir since 1949 to this day, and Lebanon since 1958 to this day. Such long-term and deleterious missions are the result of diplomatic deadlock and national corruption, triggering stagnation, thus reinforcing peacekeeping inefficiency. Overall, the UN attests to practicing peace building, but always fall into a cyclical of peacekeeping. This means there is a difference between ending violence and ending the structural situations and institutions that have created the violence. To achieve a long-lasting peace, the elements of such protracted conflicts need to be addressed and rectified. Therefore, conflict management should be employed rather than conflict resolution. The failures of UN interventions. A few aspects of UN intervention which are perilous to international security begins with the almost arbitrary nature of when intervention is authorized. For example, deploying in Bosnia, but not Darfur, intervening in Kosovo, but not the Nagorno-Karabakh. The Darfur genocide caused 400,000 deaths, whilst the Bosnian genocide cost 8,372. Yet the latter took precedent over the other in UN efforts. This displays a clear myopia in predicting greater casualties and severities of ethnic conflicts. This will guarantee destabilizing security threats such as mass population movements fleeing genocide. Moreover, a second factor is the relevance and legitimacy of the UN and the Security Council. This has been actively challenged by powerful states in the last few decades due to UN inaction and conflict zones and lack of military enforcement. Most notable with the US unilaterally going to war against Iraq in 2003 without a Security Council resolution. This contestation has come through decades of UN inaction in various conflict zones, many intrastate conflicts which risk metastasizing to other states, thus causing neighborhood effects. Such conflicts in which the UN has failed to properly act includes Rwanda, South Sudan, Myanmar, and Nagorno-Karabakh. Therefore, it displays why other states take matters into their own hands to ensure maintenance of international security, thus invalidating the collective legitimacy of the UN as a maintainer of international peace. The final issue of UN-authorized interventions is the upholding of the democratic peace theory. This posits the belief that more democracies in the world decreases the likelihood of war. This may not sound malicious, however this has been a major arbiter of war for decades. Moreover, this theory has been utilized in Iraq to overthrow Saddam Hussein, also in Libya to overthrow Gaddafi. Democratic peace theory is highly inefficient in creating international stability, as there is major difference between democratizing a state and democracies which are already states, and states that actually want to be democracies. For example, authoritarian movements are still highly popular in the Islamic world, like the Muslim Brotherhood. In addition, democracy comes into contention with many held values in this region, thus insurgencies often arise from such transitions, as shown in Iraq and Libya. This has entailed serious security threats like political unrest, mass migration, and terrorism. Overall, the Security Council is extremely flawed, but nevertheless the closest thing to an international body of arbiters. Furthermore, the UN's responsibility to protect has waned greatly, and in some cases made worse through UN involvement and peacekeeping.